For insurance claims, we're using a CMS1500 form. It's a one-sided form and it has more little spaces in it than anybody ever ought to have on a form.
Hi class, my name is Miriam Melgar-Atanaya and I will be your instructor for today. And today we're going to talk about the CMS 1500 claim form and how to complete that form. Some important things that we need to discuss before we start completing the form, and those are the carrier or payer, the patient and insured information, the physician or the supplier information. What we have in the claim is 3 different things that we really need to pay attention to. But in addition to that, there are some rules that we must follow to prevent rejection of the claim. The rules for completion. Number 1, we need to be sure that the information that we put on the form is clear and sharp. What do we mean by that? That it's legible. We also need to make sure that in the boxes that we have or the sections of the form, that everything is proportionally spaced. If we're using a computer or a typewriter, we need to be sure that the font is 12 point and they prefer Courier because it is much more legible. We also need to ensure that the letters that we write are uppercase. We need to avoid punctuation. The only punctuation you may use is a hyphen, and that will be related to a hyphenated last name. Other than that, please be sure that punctuation that is unnecessary is omitted. We also need to make sure that when we put in the date, we use 2 digits for the month, 2 digits for the date, and 4 digits for the year. Make sure that the entries on the claim form are within the boxes. An example would be that if we're doing an X, we need to be sure that the X is not either outside of the box or on top of the box. It has to be perfectly centered in the box. And we need to make sure that we don't staple anything. This claim is going to be scanned. What they use is called Intelligent Character Recognition, or ICR. If we have any errors on the claim, when they scan it, we run the risk of rejection. So we need to ensure that we follow these rules.
When I'm teaching medical assistants to do billing and coding, I stress to them to be accurate. It is better to take an extra 2 minutes to double check your numbers with the code book here or your drop-down lists in your programs with your codes to be sure that they're agreeing with the paperwork that you've gotten from the doctor. Don't be in a rush. Without it being filled out completely and correctly, the doctor will not get paid for the services rendered. And let's face it, if the doctor doesn't get paid, he's not going to have money to do what? Pay his staff. And if he doesn't have money to pay his staff, we're all unhappy.
Okay, now let's go ahead and start talking about the first part of the insurance claim. That is the top portion of the claim, the blank space that you see on the claim form. If you notice on the claim form, what you'll see is a part that says carrier, and this is where we put the insurance or the payer's address. Now, this information comes from the insurance card or the patient information sheet. The patient information sheet is what the patient completes when they first come into the office. So now we're going to talk about part 2 of the claim. That's where we actually enter the patient and insured information. When we're doing this part of the claim, we're looking at fields 1 to 13 as they apply to the claim. The first part of it is section 1 of the claim. That is the type of insurance the patient has. Do they have Medicare? Do they have Medicaid? Do they have Champus VA? That is for military retired personnel. Do they have private insurance? Do they have an HMO? That's what you need to be careful when you're looking at field 1. In 1A, we need to indicate insurer's identification number. That's the ID that comes or is typed on the insurance card. That's also the ID they gave you when the patient completed the patient information sheet. Field number 2 has to do with the patient's name, and field number 3 has to do with the birth date. Field number 4 is the insurer's name. Now let's just touch a little bit on field number 4. Field number 4, for some insurance companies, you do not need to put that information in if the patient is the same as the insured. For field number 5, that's the patient's address. Field number 6 is the relationship to the patient. Is it self, a spouse, child, or other? Field number 7, it's the insurer's address. Field number 7 is the same thing as field number 4. If the insurance requires that you complete that field when the patient is the same as the insured, go ahead and put that information. Otherwise, you can just type same. Field number 9, other insured's name. That only applies if the patient himself or herself is covered by someone else, which is this part here. When we talk about other insured, we need to make sure that we have the correct information. What does that mean? Well, we need to make sure that put the demographics of that person covering the patient. Number 10, is patient condition related to, and you have 3 questions there. Is it an employment-related claim, an accident-related claim, automobile, or other type of accident? That's really important. Why? Because if it was not related to health, then the insurance have to decide who's going to be the primary coverage. Is it going to be the insurance, the health insurance carrier, or is it going to be the automobile insurance, or is it going to be the workers' comp carrier? So that's important as well. Number 11, insurance policy group or Fika number. This is related to federal employees. If you're a federal employee and you had an accident on the job, you would put that information in there as well. Employer's name or school's name. Make sure that you indicate that as well, because in some instances they need to make sure that they have the correct group insurance information. Number 12, this has to do with the signature. Because you're submitting a claim that is possibly done electronically, all you have to write here is SOF. This means signature on file. You also need to indicate the date. Remember the rule for the date. 2 digits for the month, 2 digits for the date, and 4 digits for the year. And the last thing is 13. The insured. Are you going to authorize payment to the physician? Absolutely. If the physician is providing the care, are you authorizing the insurance payer to pay them directly for your claim?